for the SmartGrowth leadership meeting today, which I will be chairing. Before we begin, I'll call on Te Reo for the karakia, please.
Kia ora mo tātai ngā whakatakata hau ki te uru, whakatakata hau ki te tonga kia makina kina ki kia hia ki ana te ata kura he tio e huka he hau hu a tia hei mauri ora. He honoro he korori e te maunga rongo e te tāho pai ki a tātou kato o reira pai mara. Pai me reiro ki rei ki a tātou nei ki a whakauhi hui nei ki tēnei atu e tukuna nei ki tēnei inu atu nei i tātou nei matu nei te rangi. Nāna hoki nei hei arahi ki rā i nā kaupapa kei wanganui ki a tātou mai hoki nei ki o tā whiwhi tiki o te marākau. Tēnei hoki rā ki a tātou nei hei awhi hei tūtuku hi a rā i nā whakaro me nā hia hoki nei i tā tātou nei hā. Nō reira te atu o tēnei ki mātani i mea atu ki a koe kararo ki tingo o tōtu maiti, ai hi praiti mō nā ngā ake haki tūnga atu. Amen.
Kia ora, Theo, thank you for that. Now, call for apologies. We have one from John Scrimger for lateness. Any others?
At this stage, Irene Walker.
And give us Kim to
Yes.
Right. So, can I move and second for those, please? Thwaites and knees. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Have we any conflicts of interest as we move through the? I don't believe there are. We have had no request for anybody to be into the public forum, and there is no request for forum chair presentations. So we now move to page 7, which is the minutes from the last meeting. And I have a mover and a second of that. And Chair Tolley. Deputy Chair Knees. There's no discussion. I'll put those. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against no. I declare that carried. We have got the ministers coming in at 9:15. The next item on the agenda is the combined tangata whenua forum governance representation. Is 10 minutes going to be enough to cover that off, or do we want to start and come back to it later? Theo?
I will need about 2 hours.
2 hours.
10 minutes will be
You'll
fine.
need a new chair.
Irene, come in.
So we're going to start, and if we have to break, we'll break. Sure. Right, so I'll pass it out. Who's going to open this one up?
Rick Small, the presentation.
Jeff, right, we're on page 22, members.
So, Mr. Chair, Jeff Rice, Toku Ingoa. Gee, I'm forgetting. There are too many. Ngāti piki au e raua ngā Ngāti Marukuke. Tūraurangi, Ngāti piki au, and Whakaue. And that's before I get to the Pākehā side. So. Look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Pretty much the combined tangata whenua forum is made up of 4 partners that sit inside the SmartGrowth group. The combined tangata whenua group includes Te Kāhui Mana o Tauranga Moana, 1 member, and Te Ihu o Te Waka o Te Arawa, 1 member alongside Western Bay of Plenty District Council, and Te Rangapu Mana Whenua o Tauranga Moana, 2 members that sit alongside Tauranga City Council. Our current terms of reference for our group were reviewed between, I think it was October 21 and 22 and February 22. In February 22, the combined tangata whenua group discussed their collective objectives, which pretty much sit around vision, both short and long term, cultural values, as you would all understand and probably are aware of, with a view to seeking real outcomes and creating some actions that are going to work and make a difference. High on our list of priorities, as seems to be the case with everyone in our country at the moment, are our housing aspirations. So that's definitely a big deal for us. Spatial planning, we want to get a bit deeper into that and wrap it around some meaningful engagement with our tangata whenua, hapu, iwi, marae, ahu whenua trusts, and others. And by others, I mean some of our organisations that are actually corporately involved out there trying to earn a quid. Pretty much, that's it. That's where we sit at the moment. I have other stuff here I could talk about, but I thought I might save it for the closed session. I'll leave it at that.
Are there any questions there may be of this before we go to the recommendation on page 24? It appears not. I have one for the group, and it's more to the two Pakari advisors. I think we all know we're about to go into the election period, and the next SmartGrowth meeting won't be till later on in the year. The second recommendation there, 3, it agrees partner agencies will continue discussions with regards to ensuring that the Pakari advisors and combined tangata are adequately resourced. I think you need to come out and say what is the resource required, because if that's limiting the delivery, and I'll cover it off in the closed session. We started the spatial planning in 2013. It is now 2022, 9 years later, and we haven't completed it. So I think we need to accept that there is a resourcing issue in this space. We need to fill the gap somehow. So I think if you could, in the interim period, start thinking about what resources is required to complete this, that would be very helpful for the next triennium.
Yes, so Alvaro and I are currently working on, so following on from the CE last week, that request was made around coming up with a 1 or 2 pager around the funding. We'll definitely be providing that through to the respective, back to senior managers, back to CEG, and then coming before the committee in terms of identifying what that funding resource is. We identified that we had the position around the Pauhonunga, which was an engagement facilitator, to work on the engagement with mana whenua around the 2 key priorities around Māori land, so the engagement with Māori Land Trust, which we've been working on, and also the program that's been identified and covered off in the report around the tangata whenua spatial plan, around that engagement. We don't take any responsibility for the non-engagement or the delivery of the tangata whenua spatial plan. We came into being April last year. It's taken us this long to get to the position of trying to advertise, and now we're grateful in terms of your council, in terms of Western Bay, providing the opportunity to have a joint or a secondment from one of the Māori staff in your guys' unit around helping us with that engagement, and then we're looking to have the follow-up engagement in 3 sectors in terms of out to the west, TCC, and then out to the east in terms of having these engagement point in this final quarter of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We acknowledge that you need additional resource, but I do note that you did advertise for a position and were unsuccessful, and that's why you're sharing or have got us a comment from Western Bay. Have you any idea why you weren't able to provide the right person? Was it lack of skills, or are people too busy on other things?
It's a combination of both of those. So the people that we had approached prior to the advertisement, who had indicated some interest around doing that, while they've also got other positions, was around trying to find that mix of doing that part-time position. So the position itself was advertised as up to or around 30 hours. I was just trying to find that right mix, and it just wasn't working for those 3 who had initially indicated that that was a possibility. And so I suppose we've reverted back to a plan B and trying to do a combination, trying to accommodate those people with the appropriate skills, because it is around trying to get the people with the right engagement skills who have that network in terms of those out to, you know, from the Wairoa River heading all the way around to Otawhiwhi. TCC is pretty well covered in terms of the Papawainga unit, and then using the resources that Western Bay offer in terms of you know, the recruitment that they've done in terms of their Papawainga and those that have been supporting Chris and those staff there, and then actually getting some facilitation, targeted for facilitation for each of those areas, because I think what the primary issue that that we face in the Western Bay is that the majority of Māori land holdings are in the rural, and you'll know that in terms of your Western Bay, or in terms of the Western Bay provisions, there are no specific zones, so we don't have any marae community zones anymore. We don't, you know, all of those have now all just become under one umbrella. So to deal with the 26 marae that sit under the Western Bay, our engagement approach is around trying to engage with those 26 marae within the Western Bay, the 11 marae that sit within TCC, and half of those are rurally based as well. So you know the impact of what we're trying to do in that closed session around accelerating the development for the key priority development areas doesn't really address, other than Te Tumu, the Māori land aspirations and the Māori housing crisis that we're currently facing. So that's why the focus of the engagement around Māori land trusts and that spatial planning around capturing what those aspirations are have been are focused on. What we've got in the tracker in terms of the number of those Māori land trusts and the aspirations for the next 10 years of 210 houses, if we were able to access the appropriate funding and resources for the feasibility, infrastructure design, infrastructure build, and then the final is the houses. That just like we know with any housing development, those things don't happen overnight. And the longer we take the opportunity to engage with Crown partners around accessing that finance, whether it's MHUD, Kainora, Te Puni Kōkiri, and alike, the longer the delay and the actual houses on the ground is going to take.
Thanks. Chair Tolly, yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to raise similar, because it's quite a vague recommendation, and I guess understanding from you the intention is that the next meeting on SmartGrowth, then there would be a recommendation of an actual amount and program. I'm just concerned because I'm thinking, I mean, I understand what Pierre is saying. We've talked about all of this for a long time. We all know that the planning processes and development processes take a long time. They need access to funding. Are we going to wait? I don't know when the next SmartGrowth meeting will happen, end of November. So in the meantime, do they need some extra help, or do I understand Western Bay is helping them with a secondment, part-time secondment?
Western Bay is helping with the secondment, but I don't think the third recommendation there, I think really you need to come back with a full cost, because it has to be signed off and taken into the budget so we're all aware of it and move forward.
So wouldn't the recommendation be better to state exactly that rather than just talk about continuing discussions? Shouldn't the recommendation be that at the next SmartGrowth meeting a cost and program is presented that we can then consider?
I was comfortable with the third recommendation there, that it's adequately resourced, and you want to put it and funded. Yeah.
Well, resource means the same.
Yes.
But more that we target that next SmartGrowth meeting to present it.
So if by somebody help me here at the next meeting in November sometime.
29th of November.
Right, for the next. So after the full, we'll take the full stop out by November 2022. So the next SmartGrowth meeting, they'll have to report back.
We could present to CA prior to make recommendations there and then work it through to
Yes.
SMG for now.
Your staff will follow the process through, but it needs to be to the next SmartGrowth meeting, so it'll have to go to CA before that
Yes.
to come forward. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that?
Before you do that, Mr. Chair,
So,
are we ticking the box now, subject to that information coming in?
no, we're saying we need the,
You want the information first?
yeah, we need the information because it's got a budgetary requirement and that has to be signed off.
I'm not asking for the amount, I'm only asking that we tick the box.
To agree to give more resources.
Yes,
Yes, well,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we've agreed that the resources are in there, we just need to
we just need the
quantify.
detail.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so,
Don't
move
have to
Chair
do
Tully,
I'll second.
seconded Commissioner Selwyn. I'll put that, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, I declare that carried.
Just
Somebody
one,
can now move us into confidential.
I'll move, Chair.
Thank you, Bosley, and Selwyn again. I'll put that, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, no. And have we got the Minister waiting?
We just need to close everyone out of the open meeting on Teams and start the closed meeting.
So who needs to depart the room?